I've watched a lot of women's college basketball through my years, and you've had the UConn years, obviously South Carolina's dominance over the last couple of seasons, what LSU has been able to do. Caitlin Clark has been amazing. But tonight, for some reason, it just feels so much bigger, especially the way that last year ended with LSU and Iowa in that national championship game. I wish the game tonight was actually in the Final Four, even a championship rematch for a championship. But tonight, how would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you put this matchup between LSU and Iowa?
I think the only thing preventing it from being a 10 is the fact that it's an Elite Eight game and not a
Yeah.
national title game. So probably a 9 because you have the star power of Angel Reese and everybody on LSU, Flau'jae Johnson, Michaela Williams, Haley Van Lith, obviously Kim Mulkey, star in and of herself. And Caitlin Clark is the biggest player probably in college sports. So the only problem here is that we still have to play 3 more games after this one happens.
How did we get here with both of these programs, though? Because we knew there were going to be a collision course, and you would hope that we would have this matchup. It does happen, but for the way for Caitlin Clark and all that she's accomplished to be here, for LSU to get back into this situation, to have another opportunity at another Final Four, for both of these teams, programs to have to go through the seasons they had with basically the bullseye on their back just to be here, I think is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell every time Iowa played, whether it was at home or on the road, they were getting a team's best shot. I mean, they sold out every arena they went in, other than a couple of those Thanksgiving tournaments, when attendance is just a little different in those tiny gyms. But like people are doing Caitlin Clark's, now you see me against her, like every time they're defending her well. Just the hype that opposing crowds get when they play Iowa, it was definitely a target on their back the entire season. And LSU, I mean, from the very first game of the season against Colorado, it was teams trying to punk them and show that their championship was a bit of a fluke, and they've had to play the entire season under that sort of tenor. It's been a miraculous ride because both teams are so different.
Right.
Uh, Iowa loses 2 of their front court starters from a year ago. LSU loses their point guard and center to graduation. You've got their current center who tore her ACL back in November. Just a lot of different moving parts that both of these teams have had to deal with. And the fact that they're both here at this point, I think, is just a testament to how good Angel is, how good Caitlin is, and just how much fun tonight is going to be.
The one thing I'm looking at with LSU and Iowa, there will be a winner, there will be a loser. Is it? I'm trying to focus it in because there are some people who don't like the way that LSU's women, a little more flamboyant, a little more in your face. Caitlin Clark, not necessarily reserved, but she's kind of America's darling when it comes to basketball. And I'm just trying to figure out, I know we both win tonight in watching this game, but is there a rooting favorite when it comes to, it seems like the public perceptions, they want Iowa to win because they want more Caitlin Clark, and they're not really, they don't like the way that Kim Mulkey's LSU women's basketball team plays the game.
Yeah, I do wonder what the national perception of LSU were if they had a coach other than Kim Mulkey. I feel
Right.
like she expects some of that to herself. But, it's so interesting to me that Caitlin is regarded as America's sweetheart and darling because she talks just as much trash as
Right.
anybody on LSU. Like we've seen all of the clips from her first round games in Iowa, slamming the ball in her face, talking to the refs. Like she is as emotional and demonstrative on the court as anybody. And I
Right.
think that's what makes her so compelling, right? You see how much this means to her in real time. And yeah, I think the national favorite is going to be Iowa. Like there's obviously a racial component baked into that, and
Right.
that's super unfortunate. But part of it is, in the rematch, you kind of want to see Iowa get their revenge on LSU, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they lost in that game last year. I think it would be, a more interesting storyline if they were to win and get to move forward after what happened in the national title game. Like this is Caitlin Clark's last season in college. For her to put the bow on what has been, one of the most decorated careers of all time, is obviously a really interesting story. The only thing left that's missing on her resume is a national title. So I can see why a lot of people would be rooting for Caitlin in that situation. But I mean, LSU, this is a program that won its first national title last year. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
building something historic there. Angel could come back next year. Flau'jae will come back. Michaela Williams is coming back. This is a team that's built for years to come. And I think like historical dominance, also a very cool storyline. And I like my players who, get into it and egg on the crowd and Angel throwing up the L after they beat UCLA, like that was a bit
Right.
corny to me, but it's funny. And Flau'jae Johnson, like she wins the national title, they're playing her song at the American Airlines Arena, like and
Yes.
she put along to it on the day. It's like that's so cool. So there's a lot of excellent personalities on LSU, and I get that they're a little bit more in your face than
Yeah.
women's stars have been in the past, but I think it's time we just get on board, you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.